Well, it's doing it again. They, including the president, Secretary Kerry, must be in denial. First, they refuse to say Islamic extremism. Now, I don't know who they think is beheading innocents, if not Islamic extremists. But now, the Obama administration won't even call those suicide bombers the Taliban terrorists. Here is Deputy Press Secretary Eric Schultz today.
How is what the Jordanians are talking about doing any different than what the United States did to get the release of Bergdahl and releasing prisoners held at Guantanamo Bay to the Taliban, which is clearly a terrorist organization?
Sure. As you know, this was highly discussed at the time, and prisoner swaps are a traditional end-of-conflict interaction that happens. As the war in Afghanistan wound down, we felt like it was the appropriate thing to do. The president's bedrock commitment as commander-in-chief is to leave no man or woman behind. That's the principle he was operating under.
Isn't that what the Jordanians are operating under?
Well, I think, John, the
Taliban is still conducting terrorist attacks, so you can't really say that the war has ended as far as they're concerned.
Well, I'd also point out that the Taliban is an armed insurgency. ISIL is a terrorist group, so we don't make concessions to terrorist groups. We feel
the Taliban is a terrorist group.
I don't think that the Taliban is an armed insurgency. This was the winding down of the war in Afghanistan, and that's why this arrangement was dealt.
Joining us, our political panel, the Daily Beast's Jackie Kucinich and the Hill's A.B. Stoddard. A.B., I thought that Jonathan Karl of ABC, I mean, I haven't talked to Jonathan, but I think he was shocked that the White House won't call the Taliban terrorist group.
I think everyone was, and I think you could see Eric Schultz struggling to remember his talking points. He paused and closed his eyes a bit and reiterated that it was an armed insurgency.
What in the world?
And it was actually, it's humiliating.
Is this insane? You say it's humiliating, but is it also insane?
It's no, it is a failure to deal in reality. I think they know what reality is. Even if you wanted to defend the Bergdahl swap, you still would have to say that the Taliban, who behead and bomb innocents in public, women and children, amputate, videotape executions, hang bodies from trees, are absolutely terrorists. So the whole question of the swap is another story. But you couldn't get any 8th grader or 80-year-old in this country to make sense of what they're talking about and trying to distinguish between the two. They are terrorists. The administration knows they are, but they're struggling to refuse to say it, to rationalize their decision.
It's like they're creating some sort of word game app. It is so nuts, not to call it like it is. Jackie?
Well, I mean, and you can't blame anyone for being confused, because there are other parts of the government where they are defined as terrorists. I think this has everything to do.
I don't think you could be confused. I think
no, but I mean, I understand why there is confusion among everybody, that why they're not using this word, and it seems to me is the reason why they're not. The State Department in particular is not characterizing them as a terrorist group, so they want the option to negotiate with them. If they characterize them as a terrorist group, they used to be the ruling the ruling entity in Afghanistan. And that's why they weren't in 2002, weren't characterized as a terrorist group, and it's continued.
Well, I was in the room with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton a number of years ago in Afghanistan, and she was talking about the Taliban, and she said to the women there that the United States would never abandon the women to the Taliban. And it was quite clear she thought they were terrorists at the time. And now we want to negotiate with them. They're not terrorists?
In Pakistan, they're terrorists. So it really, it's.
But it's all part of leaving. I mean, he
leaving
needs
or running
to defend the exit from Afghanistan. That war needs to be over. This is a part of an end of war tradition. As Eric Schultz put it today, they're trying to rationalize that you make peace when you end a conflict, and they're just negotiating with business partners.
Anyway, panel, thank you. Always nice to see you.
Thank you.